Okay, Kizer Mini Sheepdog. This is a knife that I have kind of struggled to review. I've taken a couple passes at it, more than a couple, to be completely honest, and I have not been satisfied with anything that I have done so far. And I got about 10 minutes of enough light to do a 10-minute review, so I'm taking another crack at it. We'll see how it goes. This is a knife that I kind of hate to love because there's a few drawbacks to it that should just almost be deal killers for me, but I forgive it because I've just been enjoying this knife anyway. So, yeah, let me get into what I really dig and like about this knife. First off, I like its character. I like the cleaver shaped blade in spite of, to skip ahead just a little bit, the lack of not quite as much utility to it. I really like the action of the button lock. I'm very satisfied with the materials, the steel, the deep carry pocket clip, the G10, the texturing of the G10. It's all just good stuff that they threw at this knife, and yeah, I'm digging a lot of what's going on here. It's just got a fun character to it, and that's what I like about it. And I'm going to get into my criticisms and kind of bounce back to what I like about it throughout the rest of the review here. But a couple of some of the things I've just been living with that I haven't liked, and then some of the things that you may have already noticed I've completely modified. So, yeah. One complaint I have is the utility of the actual blade shape, which I don't think cleavers have the greatest utility. I think this tip here at the edge of this knife, at the end of the knife, I don't think that's super useful in comparison to, let's say, I've got the Vastid Mini Nightshade. This is my standard bearer for smaller secondary knives. If I'm carrying a larger knife and I want to have just like a secondary EDC, uh, I, I, I want to have a very useful, if I'm carrying a big primary knife, my secondary knife, I want to have a lot of utility with. So right now, this Vastid Mini Nightshade is my standard bearer. And if I could afford a Benchmade Mini Bug Out, that would probably be just a little bit ahead of my Vastid here. But for the time being, this is a really good knife in the category competing directly with the Mini Sheepdog. And I prefer something that's got a tip on it, like a kind of a narrow, sharp, pointy tip. I think this is the minimum that I would want for digging splinters and just kind of the precise kind of work that you're going to do with the tip of a smaller knife, whatever it is. That's kind of my preference. And this tip is a little bit obtuse. I think this Kershaw Iridian does a good representation of the traditional drop point sort of American style knife blade, and this is just a nice precise tip to a blade. So the lack of that on the Sheepdog, although it hasn't been an issue so far, I just kind of foresee it as not being the best for me personally. That being said, it's worked. The blade has nice thickness behind it because it's so wide. It makes for a good slicer. This little indentation lets me choke up on it nicely, and that's all to the good. It's kind of thick stock, but because it's such a wide blade, it can really come down into a nice edge there. One issue I do have is I do not think that the full nested steel liners in this knife are necessary at all. I see a button lock as being not the strongest kind of lock by any means, and if this knife is going to fail anywhere, it's going to fail in the lock, not in the handle. G10 is very strong on its own. So I don't understand why they decided that they needed, I would guess there's probably an extra ounce there of unnecessary seal in the handle to reinforce it, but it is what it is. It makes the knife heavier than I would like, and I'm just living with that. My other complaint is the Fingerchil that they put in this knife, because it's this is the modification that I think I mentioned, which is let me pull out the my iPad to do a comparison while I'm talking here. But I think what happened was when Kizer designed the mini version of the Sheepdog, all they did was they went into their computer, went into their blueprinting system, and just shrunk the whole design down. Said, okay, that's good, send it out, let's do it. And no one really like handled the knife or anything after like they made it to say, oh well, maybe we should, do something else to it. So this is a super techie way to do it, but if you'll look, right, you can see that the picture's not quite the same size as, can I zoom in slightly? Yeah, okay, so that's roughly the same size. The picture is roughly the same size as the knife right now, maybe slightly smaller. And you can see that the choil on my knife is much, much bigger than the choil on the original knife. The problem I was having here is I've got large hands, but I think even with smaller hands, I wouldn't have the kind of trouble that I was people with smaller hands would have the same kind of trouble, which was the edge, the base of the edge of the knife was just really crowding my hand, and I didn't feel like I had enough room to use the forward finger choil functionally without worrying about catching the edge. And really, even if I was like kind of up there, my fingers were like crossed over each other. And what I wish Kizer had done is I wish they had just left like that much more material on the handle itself, because if you see, I can get 3 fingers on this handle, right, and I've got all sorts of extra material here that's not being used that would have given loads of extra space for the forward finger. This is not going to be a 3-finger handle knife. Really, you're meant to use the choil for what it is, and I just it didn't hit with me. So I took my Dremel and I just ground and ground and ground and ground until I felt like I had enough room. I think I took more than a 1/4 inch off of this blade, and then I just kind of rounded the base of the edge, just so that, because my finger's going to be up close to it all the time. This is how I hold this knife if I'm using it for the most part, or I hold it like this. So I really didn't want to catch that edge there and possibly slice myself. So that's what I did. It's very comfortable now. Really briefly, I just did a little contouring of the G10 around the handle. That wasn't nearly as necessary for me as just opening up the choil was. But now it fits my hand a lot better, and I'm just dealing with the weight, and the blade shape not being my favorite is fine because it's fun. It's cool to look at, and I dig it when I've got it out and I'm using it for something. I will say that the action on this button lock is fantastic. It works a lot better than this chili pepper I have, which is also a really fun, filled with character knife. But that's a perfect example, is that when I close it, the blade just like bounces, because the button does not have a good closing detent like the Sheepdog does. So, oh yeah, and the pocket clip on the Voss Steed was just garbage, so I threw on this too big MXG gear clip, but the pocket clip on this guy is like perfect deep carry clip. That's what you want to see on a EDC pocket knife. Conclusions. It's a fun knife. It's probably not the best knife unless you have rather small hands or you're ready to modify it like I did to expand the choil. I definitely lost some edge there, which was a bummer, but hey, I still like this knife. And to be honest with it, I fidget more with it than I actually use it. And okay, yeah, that just happens sometimes. I don't have fidget spinners. I have pocket knives. The ball bearings are fantastic. It's just got a really great action to it. Totally digging that. And just what you're seeing here is some of the alternatives that I'll carry. The Spyderco is just a primary, so this is a primary, so I'll have any of these guys as secondary knives with it. Got the Kershaw Launch, I've got the Vosteed Nightshade. Totally underrated knife. The Stat Gear Pocket Katana, that's a great one too. But sometimes I'll bring the Kizer Sheepdog with me, and I'm enjoying it. All right, I'm going to keep this under 11 with 10 seconds extra. Have a great day. Oh, I also decided I'm no longer going to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel unless I can do it in a entertaining, clever, and funny way. So there you have it. Have a great day.